Good morning, everybody. Hope all of you are keeping well and studying very hard for your exams. Probably your exams will be in the month of August. Okay, so you have almost completed most of the topics that are asked in exams, and we were studying lastly about the basal nuclei or the basal nuclei, which consists of the corpus striatum, the amygdaloid body, and the claustrum, isn't it? So we had in details we have studied about the corpus striatum, which consists of the caudate nucleus, which I have explained it to you in details, and the lentiform nucleus. Now remaining is the amygdaloid body and the claustrum. There is nothing much explanation for this amygdaloid body and the claustrum. Okay, you are just supposed to know where they are located and what is their function. Their function is very little, but you are supposed to remember it, because a pinpoint lesion along this area can give rise to various uh, complaints. Now, first of all, the amygdaloid body. The amygdaloid body is a nuclear mass, got it? Present in the temporal lobe. Amygdaloid body, it is a nuclear mass that is present in the temporal lobe, and it lies along the and it lies anterosuperiorly to the inferior horn of the lateral ventricle. Yesterday, when I was explaining about the caudate nucleus and the quadrate nucleus. So this is the lateral ventricle, this is the anterior horn, this is the posterior horn, and this is the inferior horn. And within this lies the C-shaped caudate nucleus, and at the tail end of the caudate nucleus there is presence of the amygdaloid. Got it? Amygdaloid. Got it? Amygdaloid body. Got it? So at the tail end, got it? Where the tail of the caudate nucleus ends, got it? Immediately next to that is situated the amygdaloid body. Got it? And it is present in the temporal lobe. Got it? It is present in the temporal lobe. So which part of cerebral hemisphere? It will be the inferior part of the cerebral hemisphere. Okay, and it is continuous with the caudate tail of the caudate nucleus. Functionally, it is related to stria terminalis. While teaching you about the lateral ventricle, isn't it? The inferior aspect of the, got it? The inferior aspect of the lateral ventricle is related to the stria terminalis and the thalamostriate vein, if you remember, isn't it? Inferiorly, the lateral ventricle is related to the stria terminalis and the thalamostriate vein, isn't it? So this amygdaloid body, it is functionally related to the stria terminalis, like this. Got it? It is related to the stria terminalis, and it is an important part of the limbic system. It forms the important part of the limbic system, and it is connected to the cerebral cortex. Got it? It is connected to the cerebral cortex by uncus and the anterior perforated substance. So where it is connected to the cerebral hemisphere? To the uncus and the anterior perforated substance. So to repeat again, the amygdaloid body, it is a nuclear mass that is present in the temporal lobe. Got it? The amygdaloid body, it is a nuclear mass. Got it? It is like a nucleus. So that's why it is called as the nuclear mass. Got it? And it is present in the temporal lobe. And where does it lie? It lies on the superior aspect of the inferior horn of the lateral ventricle. Superior to the inferior horn of the lateral ventricle. But which part? The anterior part. Okay? So superior part of the inferior horn of the lateral ventricle, and functionally it is related to the stria terminalis. Got it? It is related to the stria terminalis, and it is continuous with the cerebral cortex. Got it? It is continuous with the cerebral cortex. And which part of cerebral cortex it is related, it is connected to, or it is continuous with? It is continuous with the uncus and the anterior perforated substance. Got it? So the connections of the amygdaloid body is, it is connected to the cerebral hemisphere through the uncus and the anterior perforated substance. Now this amygdaloid body has efferent and efferent connection. Got it? It has efferent A connection and E connection. Got it? Efferent connection and efferent connection. The efferent connection, it is with the olfactory tract. The efferent connection is with the olfactory tract, and efferent connection, it gives rise to stria terminalis. So this stria terminalis, which I mentioned it in the introduction, that it is functionally related to stria terminalis. Therefore, it is giving rise to the stria terminalis. Got it? It is giving rise to stria terminalis, and this stria terminalis ends into the anterior commissures, which are present, anterior perforated substance, and hypothalamic nucleus. Got it? So efferent connections are, it gives rise to stria terminalis, and this stria terminalis is connected to the anterior commissure, anterior perforated substance, and the hypothalamic nucleus. Anterior commissure, anterior perforated substance, and hypothalamic nucleus. Got it? So the connections, I will write it down so that you will understand it better. Got it? It has efferent connections. Got it? Efferent connection with the olfactory tract. Got it? It has connection with the olfactory tract, and efferent connection, it gives rise to stria terminalis. Got it? It gives rise to stria terminalis, and this stria terminalis is connected to the anterior commissure. Got it? It is connecting with the anterior commissure, anterior perforated substance, and the hypothalamic nucleus. Got it? So these are the efferent and the efferent connection. Efferent connection with the olfactory tract, efferent connection, it gives rise to stria terminalis, and this stria terminalis is getting attached, it is continuing with the anterior commissure, anterior perforated substance, and the hypothalamic nucleus. Got it? So efferent connection with the anterior commissure, anterior perforated substance, and the hypothalamic nucleus. Okay? So this is about the amygdaloid body. Now the claustrum. Isn't it? I showed you yesterday by drawing the internal capsule, which I shall take in details today. Okay? So the claustrum. The claustrum, how it is? So where it is present, it is a saucer-shaped substance, that it is a saucer-shaped structure. Got it? The claustrum, it is a saucer-shaped nucleus which lies between the putamen. You have the internal capsule. Got it? You have the internal capsule. You have the globus. You have the pallidum, and you have the putamen. Got it? Then here you have the external capsule. Got it? And on the side of the external capsule, this is the claustrum that is present. And then on the side of the claustrum is situated the insula. This is the insula. This is the putamen. Got it? So this claustrum is, this is the claustrum. This is the claustrum. Okay? This portion is the claustrum. Okay? So see this is the claustrum. This claustrum is present between the putamen and this more dark I will draw. This is the insula. I told you what is insula, isn't it? This is the insula. Okay. So it is present between the insula and the putamen. This cross. Okay, it lies between the putamen and the insula, and inferiorly it is thick, and anteriorly it is ending with the anterior perforated substance. Got it? It is ending with the anterior perforated substance. So it is a saucer-shaped nucleus. Got it? Which lies between the putamen and the insula. All the sulci and gyri are present from upper se niche, horizontally. Insula is present from before backwards. Got it? Like this. So just it is perpendicular to the other sulci and gyri that are present, the gyri that are present in the cerebral cortex. Got it? The sulci with the gyri that are present in the cerebral cortex. So this is about the amygdaloid body and the claustrum. Now the applied anatomy of the whole of basal nuclei. Got it? The applied anatomy of the whole of basal nuclei. The lesion of the basal ganglion or the basal nuclei does not produce paralysis. Please remember this. Got it? Any lesion in the cerebral cortex, any lesion in the internal capsule can produce paralysis. But lesion of the basal nuclei or lesion of the basal ganglia will not produce any paralysis. Got it? It will produce abnormal movements. Abnormal movements does not mean paralysis. Got it? Abnormal movements does not mean paralysis. Okay? So the lesion of the basal nuclei or the basal ganglion, it will produce abnormal movements, changes in the posture and change in the tone. Got it? It will produce abnormal movements, change in the posture and change in the tone. Got it? So what will happen? Because of hypertonicity, there will be hypertonia. Got it? There will be hypertonia. So the movements, even if the patient wants to perform the movement as per his wish, but because of hypotonia, before time the movements are performed. Got it? And lesion to the corpus tritum it leads to Parkinsonism. Got it? Parkinsonism. You must have seen many old people. Continuously there is shaking of hands, there is shaking of, got it? Neck. Got it? There is shaking of neck, there is shaking of hand, isn't it? Sometimes there is shaking of the trunk also, isn't it? There is shaking of the trunk also. So this shaking of trunk and hands is called as withering. Got it? It is called as withering movements. Got it? It is called as withering movements. Okay? So what will happen in this Parkinsonism? There is hypertonicity of the muscle. Got it? There is hypertonia of the muscle and lead pipe rigidity. A lead pipe you cannot bend, isn't it? It is rigid. So that type of rigidity is seen in the case of basal nuclei lesion. Got it? So Parkinsonism, it will give rise to hypertonia or hypertonicity of the muscles. It will give rise to lead pipe rigidity and loss of associated movements. Got it? Okay? Loss of associated movements and also facial expression. It will give rise to loss of associated movements and also facial expression. There will be, even if the patient wants to laugh, will not be able to. Will laugh but during some other time. जब सब रो रहे तो ये हंस रहा होगा. This is, the patient cannot perform the action in a correct manner. Got it? Because of the loss, because of the increase in the muscle tone, because of the rigidity of the muscles. Got it? And loss of automatic associated movements. Yesterday I told you what are associated movements, isn't it? When you want to tilt, automatically when you want to tilt on the left side, your head goes to the right. This is automatic movement. When you walk, isn't it? When you put your right leg in front, your left hand comes in front. When you put your left leg in front, your right hand. So unknowingly you keep on walking, isn't it? Like this. So this associated movements are lost. Got it? These associated movements are lost, and there is tremors of the hand, continuous tremors. Even if the patient wants to pick up the glass, he will be shaking the hand easily. So what the patient will do, will try to hold with both the hands and then drink the water. Got it? Patient with Parkinsonism, there is tremendous tremors. He will try to hold the glass with both the hands and then, otherwise the hands are trembling continuously. Okay, so that is C. Then choreoforming. What is choreo? Choreography, isn't it? We say choreo. What is choreography? You direct a dance. That is choreography. So chorea is the uncoordinated movements over there in case of basal nuclei lesion. Okay, and ethetoid movements. Got it? Ethetoid movements, again these are, got it, these are the movements, unwanted movements. Okay, these are the unwanted movements. Patient wants to write, he will scribble. Got it? He will scribble, isn't it? Unnecessarily there will be shaking of the body, there will be shaking of the limbs. Okay, so these are the, this is called as breathing. Got it? This is called as breathing movements. Got it? WRITHING, breathing movements of the limbs, the trunk. So these movements, they are not only present during the day, during the activities of the person, but they are present even during the sleep. Got it? These movements are continuously present in the sleep also. Got it? They are continuously present in the sleep. Okay? So chorea. Chorea means dancing. So involuntary movements. Got it? Involuntary movements. SS. पैर का अलग सा movement. Okay? So this is, so chorea is a lesion present in the caudate nucleus. Got it? Chorea, when you get, the patient is getting chorea, that means the lesion is in the caudate nucleus. Ethetosis, if it is present. Got it? As ethetosis, these are slow. Got it? Ethetosis, these are slow, repeated breathing movements. Got it? Breathing movements. These are slow, repetitive, breathing movements. WRITHING. Breathing movements. Got it? These are slow, breathing movements. Okay? And repeated. And when this ethetosis will appear, this will appear when there is a lesion in the putamen. Got it? When there is a lesion in the putamen. And then last is ballismus. Got it? Last is ballismus. Okay? Ballismus. This ballismus is irregular movement of trunk, girdles and the limbs. Got it? Got it? These are irregular movements of the trunk, girdle, that is your hip, and your limbs. That is called as ballismus. Got it? So there is hypotonia, there is continuously movement, isn't it? There is shaking. So where the trunk is shaking separately, the limbs are shaking separately, the girdle is shaking separately. So the patient walks in a different manner. Got it? The patient walks in a different manner. So the lesions of the basal nuclei, got it, will give rise to Parkinsonism. In Parkinsonism, there is hypotonicity, or you can say the lead pipe rigidity. Got it? This hypotonia of the muscles in case of basal nuclei is called as lead pipe rigidity. Loss of associated movements, got it, and also facial expression. And also facial expression. There will be no facial expressions on the patient's face with the Parkinsonism. Okay? Okay? And then there will be tremors, there will be chorea, and there will be ethetoid movements. There will be tremors, there will be chorea, there will be ethetoid movements. Got it? And these movements are due to the lesion in the caudate nucleus. Got it? Got it? In the caudate nucleus or in the putamen. Okay? Caudate nucleus and the putamen. Chorea is due to the lesion of the caudate nucleus. Lesion in the caudate nucleus, and there is involuntary movements of the hands and involuntary movements of the feet. Okay, there is involuntary movement of the hands and the involuntary movement of the feet, and they are disorganized. They are disorganized. Ethetosis is slow repeated breathing movement. Slow repeated breathing movements, and these are due to the lesion of the putamen. And ballismus is irregular movement of the trunk, the girdles and the limbs. Of the trunk, the girdle and the limbs. So this is about the basal nuclei. So we finished with the caudate nucleus, we finished with the lentiform nucleus, we finished with the amygdaloid body and the claustrum. Amygdaloid body and claustrum, they are very little. You are just supposed to know where they are situated. They are connected with what and what are their efferent and efferent connection. Nothing such connection is given for the claustrum. Okay, nothing such connection is given for the claustrum. Now the next is the internal capsule. Got it? Now remaining over here related to all these structures, isn't it? Since we have studied all these structures in very close relation with the internal capsule. So now the internal capsule. To study the internal capsule, you are supposed to know the shape, you are supposed to know the boundaries, you are supposed to know the parts of the internal capsule, the fibers of the internal capsule, you are supposed to know the blood supply, because this internal capsule is having very rich blood supply. A pinpoint lesion, you can imagine the point of the pin is so small, very very small. If it is broken, it is not even seen to the naked eye. So that's why you say a pinpoint lesion, got it, gives massive disorders in the human body. Got it? Gives massive disorder in the human body. And lastly, the clinical anatomy of the internal capsule. Okay? So now the internal capsule. What is internal capsule? It is a large band of fibers, isn't it? It is a large band of fibers situated on the inferomedial aspect of the cerebral hemisphere. So this is the superolateral surface. So the inferomedial aspect of the cerebral hemisphere. Okay? It is a large band of fibers situated, dense fibers, got it? They collectively, and when you cut open the cerebrum, got it? You will see the diagram which I will draw. The same type of bands you will see inside the brain. Okay? It is a large band of fibers situated situated in the inferomedial part of the cerebral hemisphere, and it is present in each cerebral hemisphere. Now what is this internal capsule? It consists of fibers that are coming from, got it? That are coming from inside, got it? And that are going outside from the cerebral cortex, got it? So you have the internal capsule, you have the cerebrum. So fibers coming from here and fibers going from internal capsule. Okay? So fibers coming in and fibers going out from the cerebral cortex. So these are the fibers present inside the internal capsule, and it is also called as a narrow gate where the fibers are densely crowded. It is also called as a narrow gate where the fibers are densely crowded. Upwards, it is continuous with the corona radiata, and lower it is connected to the it is connected to the crus cerebri of the midbrain. Got it? Superiorly, it is connected to the corona radiata, and inferiorly it is connected to the crus cerebri of the midbrain. Now what is the shape? In horizontal section, if you see, got it? In horizontal section, if you see, it is a V-shaped structure. Got it? It is a V-shaped structure. Got it? The internal capsule in horizontal section, if you take the horizontal section of the brain, got it? If you take the horizontal section of the brain, got it? The internal capsule is V-shaped, got it? And it is present in the, got it? each hemisphere of the cerebrum. Got it? It is present in the each hemisphere of the cerebrum. Okay? Then superiorly it is connected to the fibers of corona radiata. Got it? Superiorly it is connected with the fibers of the corona radiata, and inferiorly it is connected to the crus cerebri of the midbrain. Got it? So this is corona. Got it? And this is crus cerebri. Got it? This is crus cerebri. Got it? So it is connected to the corona radiata and it is connected to the crus cerebri inferiorly, superiorly to the corona radiata. Now the parts of the internal capsule. Got it? Now the parts of the internal capsule. The parts of the internal capsule are, got it? It consists of the anterior limb. Got it? It consists of the anterior limb. Now this bend which you see over here, got it? This bend where the upper part and the lower part is connected, this is called as the genu. Got it? So genu means bend. Got it? So this is the genu. Okay? This is the genu over here. Okay? And then this is the posterior limb. Okay? This is the posterior limb. Okay? Now below this posterior limb is present the sublentiform, got it? Sublentiform part of internal capsule. Got it? So this is the sublentiform part of internal capsule, and there is some portion which lies. So here in the concavity of the internal capsule. Now this is the lateral side, this is the medial side. Got it? So within the concavity of the internal capsule, there is presence of the lentiform nucleus. Got it? There is presence of the lentiform nucleus, which consists of globus pallidus. Got it? Which consists of globus, which consists of pallidum, and this is the putamen. Got it? This is the putamen. Okay? Okay, this is the putamen. Okay? And outside of this lentiform nucleus, there is presence of the external capsule. So see the structures which you will see, it is like this. Got it? There is the external capsule. This is the internal capsule. There has to be an external capsule, isn't it? So this is the external capsule. Okay? This is the external capsule. And then over here is present the claustrum. Isn't it? Like this. Got it? This is the claustrum. And this is the insula. Got it? This is the insula. That is present on the lateral side of the claustrum. So this is somewhat the structure. When you cut open the hemisphere, you will see these structures. Okay? So within the concavity of the internal capsule lies the lentiform nucleus. By now you know the different parts of the lentiform nucleus. So the parts of the internal capsule are the anterior limb, the genu, the posterior limb, the sublentiform part of internal capsule, and behind this is the retrolentiform part of the internal capsule. So some portion of the internal capsule lies behind the lentiform nucleus, and that is called as the retro. Retro means speech. Got it? So it lies behind the lentiform nucleus. Okay? So these are the parts. So parts are very simple. Anterior limb, genu, posterior part, sublentiform part, and retrolentiform part of the internal capsule. So these are the parts of the internal capsule. Now what are the relations? The relations you already know. Got it? There is nothing much difficult about it. The relations you already know, isn't it? So the anterior limb, okay, anterior limb of the internal capsule is related medially to the head of the caudate nucleus. So this is caudate nucleus. Got it? So this is the head of the caudate nucleus. Here lower down over here is present the thalamus. Got it? Got it? Is present the thalamus. Got it? So the anterior limb of the internal capsule is related medially to the caudate nucleus and laterally to the upper portion, that is this portion, got it? Upper portion of the lentiform nucleus. So see, if you cover this like this, what is remaining is the upper portion. So the anterior limb, it has got a medial, it has got a lateral relation. The medially it is related to the caudate nucleus and laterally it is related to the upper part of the lentiform nucleus. Got it? It is related to the upper part of the lentiform nucleus. Now the posterior limb. Got it? The posterior limb. The posterior limb. What is, if you cover this upper portion, what is remaining is the lower portion. So the posterior limb is related to the lower part of the lentiform nucleus. Got it? It is related to the lower part of the lentiform nucleus laterally. Got it? Laterally it is related to the lower part of the lentiform nucleus and medially it is related to the thalamus. Got it? Medially it is related to the thalamus. Got it? The sublentiform nucleus, got it? The sublentiform nucleus lies below. So this is the lentiform nucleus. So below this lies the sublentiform part of the internal capsule. So below the lentiform nucleus, so see this portion which lies below is called as the sublentiform part of the internal capsule, and the portion which lies behind the lentiform nucleus is called as the retrolentiform part of the internal capsule. So you have the anterior limb, you have the genu, you have the posterior limb, you have the sublentiform part of the internal capsule and the retrolentiform part of the internal capsule. So the upper limb or the anterior limb is related to, got it, medially to the caudate nucleus and laterally to the upper part of the lentiform nucleus. Okay, the posterior limb is related to the lower part of the lentiform nucleus laterally and medially to the thalamus. The portion which lies below the lentiform nucleus is called as the sublentiform part of the internal capsule. It is called as the sublentiform part of the internal capsule. Okay, and the portion which lies behind the lentiform nucleus is called as the lentiform part of the internal capsule. Got it? So when you take the section, you will see this. Got it? V-shaped fibers. This is about the internal capsule. You will see the head of the caudate nucleus. You will see the thalamus. You will see the lentiform nucleus. Here you will see a dark portion and a light portion. Got it? Globus pallidus and the putamen. Okay? Then here, actually here I have drawn line, dotted line just for you to understand. But like this there is no line. There is a space which is available and that space is called as the internal capsule. And this claustrum, it will appear zigzagly for you. And here you will see the gyri. Got it? The gyri which is, got it? Which is vertical. Got it? Which is vertical, not horizontal, but it is vertical. So these are the structures which are seen on the infero-medial surface of the cerebral hemisphere. Okay? Understood till here? Now the fibers of the internal capsule. Got it? Fibers of the internal capsule. Fibers of internal capsule. Okay? The fibers of the internal capsule. The fibers of the internal capsule are motor as well as sensory. Got it? The fibers of the internal capsule are motor as well as sensory fibers. क्या हो गया? Fibers are motor as well as sensory. Now, what are the motor fibers? Got it? What are the motor fibers? Got it? So, we have the corticopontine from cortex pons coming to the coming to this frontopontine. Frontopontine. Got it? You have the frontopontine. You have the parietopontine. Parietopontine. Got it? You have the parietopontine, occipitopontine. Got it? You have the occipitopontine and you have the temporopontine. So all the lobes are connected over here. Temporopontine. Got it? And you have the pyramidal fibers. Got it? Pyramidal fibers. Got it? Pyramidal fibers. In addition to this, you have the corticonuclei of. Got it? You have the corticonuclei of 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th cranial nerves. You have the nuclei of connection with the nuclei of 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, got it? 7th, 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. Got it? Connection with the nuclei of the cranial nerves except for the 8th cranial nerve. Got it? 8th cranial nerve except for the 8th, 1st and 2nd. 1, 2 and 8 are not connected to the internal capsule. Remaining all the cranial nerves are connected to the nuclei of all these cranial nerves are connected to the internal capsule. Then in addition to this, another nucleus it is connected to is the nucleus of ambiguous. Got it? Nucleus of ambiguous. It is also connected to the spinal cord. Got it? So that is the corticospinal connection. Spinal connection. Got it? It is connected to the spinal cord. So you say this is the corticospinal connection. And here the corticospinal connection consists of connection with the muscles of head, neck, got it? Which lie in the genu, and the connection of the upper limb and the lower limb lies with the posterior limb of the internal capsule. So corticospinal connection mein you have the connection of the muscles of head, neck and face, where the fibers are present in the genu, and connection of the upper limb and lower limb. Here the connection is with the posterior limb, and also it is extrapyramidal in connection. It is also extrapyramidal in connection. Okay, so these are the motor connection. You are supposed to know the names: corticopontine, frontopontine, parietopontine, occipitopontine, temporopontine, pyramidal, corticospinal, extrapyramidal. Go on. क्या कहते हैं? Extrapyramidal, and it is also related to the nuclei of 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, got it? 7th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th cranial nerves. Nuclei of 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, got it? Nucleus of these cranial nerves and nucleus of ambiguous. Nucleus of ambiguous. Corticospinal connection is connection with the head, neck, muscles of head, neck, face, got it? And the connection, and this connection is present in genu, and the connection of the upper limb and the lower limb, they are connected to the posterior limb. The sensory fibers. The sensory fibers consist of thalamocortical fibers. Got it? The sensory fibers consist of thalamocortical fibers. Got it? Consists of thalamocortical fibers. Consists of thalamocortical fibers. Thalamocortical fibers. Got it? So sensory is thalamocortical fibers. The sensory fibers